Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk coming at you on a Friday. It is a feel-good Friday, if I may borrow the expression from my friend Brendan Dworzinski, who is with us. Spencer Dupuis will be along. I am Dan Lucero, the Power Trio with you for the next 3 hours to take you into your sports weekend. Thank you so much for being with us on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And on our video stream, if you are watching along, welcome on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, or on our Facebook page, WIBW News. Typically, this would be a Red Friday on the program, but the Chiefs don't play until Monday. So maybe we call it a Blue Friday on the program because the Kansas City Royals play tomorrow. They're working on the weekend, game one of the American League Division Series tomorrow night at Yankee Stadium against the hated Pinstripes of the New York Yankees. We will break it down, tell you which Royals are the most important players in this series. There are some obvious answers to that question, but also some not so obvious ones as well that we'll get to. And also the question, who else on the Yankees scares you? Because, again, very obvious answers, two very obvious answers to that question. But the answer beyond that is revealing and gives you maybe some insight as to why this may not be the walk in the park for the Bronx Bombers that many in the national media might be predicting. So we will look at it top to bottom and break down some Royals-Yankees playoff baseball. Again, game one of the series is tomorrow night, a 5:38 Central Time first pitch. We'll have pregame coverage at 5 o'clock from the Royals Baseball Network right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Game two, of course, will be on Monday. So it was kind of the Chiefs to let the Royals have the spotlight today. We'll talk some baseball. We'll get to not just Royals-Yankees, but the other three division series in the league. We'll give our quick predictions on how we think that those rounds will go, which teams we all think will advance to the championship series. We also do have plenty of football to talk about on today's show, including Chiefs football with our good friend Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. He joins us at the bottom of this hour, as he does every Friday on the show. We get Matt's thoughts on what exactly is up with Rashee Rice's knee, where the Chiefs go one way or another with the wide receiver position, and a preview of Monday night's showdown with the Saints. We'll also look ahead to Saturday night and KU's last chance to salvage their season effectively when they go out to Tempe to take on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Is there hope for the Jayhawks? Any answer to that question that has a yes in it includes a win at, they still call it Sun Devil Stadium? I bet they don't.
No, they don't.
That's too bad. I still call it Sun Devil Stadium.
It is probably named for a credit union.
Right?
It is.
Incredibly.
Mountain America Stadium.
That's remarkable. I would have guessed, given like Arizona's like economy and whole vibe, I would have guessed like crypto. Like Dogecoin Stadium.
But like college stadiums everywhere. Just if you don't know the names, just assume credit union.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what Houston's stadium's name is?
Like TCFU Bank?
I believe it's TDECU Field.
I was close. I had a couple of the right letters in there.
Like, it even has a former conference rival in the name.
In-state rival. Yeah, it's wild. It will be a very telling game, one way or another, about the Jayhawks and where their season goes from here on Saturday night. So we'll discuss that a little bit later on.
Watch out for them Devils.
Watch out.
I'm a Christian man. Watch out for them Devils.
A lot of coaches would have wanted to score a touchdown. I was the opposite.
I miss Herm. You see Raiders coach Antonio Pierce got the ban hammer from the NCAA today for the Arizona State debacle.
What was it, 8-year show cause?
8-year show cause.
Yeah. Oh, no.
When he inevitably gets fired within the next 24 months by the Raiders, he's going to have to be an assistant position coach in the NFL.
I hope ESPN is still hiring. I hope he and Stephen A. or Pat McAfee can become buddies.
Oh, yeah. Was Antonio Pierce on TV once before?
Yeah, he was on ESPN.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, they brought back Herm with open arms. They
did.
came back and they acted like nothing had happened.
Yeah, they'll do that with Antonio Pierce. He'll be fine. He'll land on his feet, even without the possibility of getting a college job. We'll also give our best bets for the football weekend to come, our Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk Picks contest, in which Brendan can hear my footsteps. Objects in the mirror closer than they appear, pal.
I did not give more than 30 seconds of thought to any pick this week. I'm done overthinking. It's vibes. It's vibes time.
Vibes time?
It's vibes time.
I wish I could say that was also the reason for my strategy. No, I just get so distracted when it's playoff baseball, and especially with the Royals. I have barely thought about football this week. Like, K-State being off is part of that too, because like they're the interesting in-state team, and the right now, and the Royal and the Chiefs rather not playing until Monday. But like football weekend is sneaking up on me completely because of what the Royals have done.
That's fair. That is entirely fair. I will tell you, I did a bad job of picking only vibes games because I did not pick the Calgorithm.
Oh no,
I did not pick Cal Miami in any which way.
I thought so. I thought about riding with the Calgorithm.
They are inevitable. If you don't know what we're talking about, Cal, Berkeley, the Golden Bears, their fans have gone off the deep end, and they are posting all sorts of AI art and various drawings and all sorts of videos. They parodied Hot to Go as Ott to Go, their star running back Jaden Ott. Every response on Twitter now, like, wow, why is Cal good this year? The responses are all just because of woke. Like, that's all they say. Yeah. They've steered completely into the skid, 150%. And I respect them for
embracing the stereotype about Berkeley and the University of California, Berkeley.
Joking about Lee Corso putting on a Karl Marx head this weekend at game day.
It's incredibly funny. It really is. And they're hosting game day this week, and Marshawn Lynch is the guest picker. You talk about vibes. I might go Cal money line.
Plus 360 at Prairie Band.
I'm thinking about it.
10.5. It's the spread. They're dogs.
We'll get to the 580 Sports Talk Picks contest later on in this show. Also today, earlier this week, I had a chance to chat with Richard Konzem. He's the executive director of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, and their induction ceremony is coming to Topeka. It's believed that it's the first time since 1996 that the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame has held their induction ceremony in the capital city. It'll be at the Hotel Topeka on Sunday, October 13th, at the Chiefs off day. And all 12 inductees this year are expected to be in attendance. That includes the likes of Mark Turgeon, Topeka's own, Mark Mangino, Will Shields, and many more. Sean Snyder's another name that you'll recognize. Lots of very accomplished Olympic athletes as well in this year's class. That was intentional because 2024 is, after all, an Olympic year. But it's going to be a great night. Tickets are still on sale, and I had a chance to talk to Richard Konzem about all of that. And we'll play that conversation for you in the 5 o'clock hour, so tune in for that as well. Plus all the other things you've come to know and love from a Friday edition of the show. We'll change my mind. On second thought, we'll crown a weekly What Is Wrong With You champion. Your text to the program, 785-272-9429 is the number on the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429. You can also jump on in the YouTube live chat. If you were watching along live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, there's a live chat feature, and you can interact with us and other listeners to the show. All that being said, let's get into it with some baseball. Love previewing a baseball playoff series on a Friday. This just tickles me. I'm really in my element getting to talk a little hardball in the month of October. It's the Royals and the Yankees, just like 1976 and 1977 and 1978 and 1980. All four of those were best of fives, too, back when the championship series was a best of five affair. Now it's, of course, the division series, another best of five between these two rivals. I think it was Grant Brisbee of The Athletic that pointed out the other three matchups in the division series are all divisional matchups. You have Guardians, Tigers, Dodgers, Padres, and Phillies, Mets. So these are all divisional rivals. But the best historical rivalry of the four is like clearly Yankees Royals because of how heated and how memorable those championship series were when they met four times in a 5-year span. Like the Guardians and the Tigers don't have playoff beef like that. The Dodgers Padres, it's only recent because the Padres have been a joke for the better part of their existence. And even the Phillies and the Mets. I mean, it's New York and Philadelphia, but quick, name me a memorable playoff moment between the Phillies and the Mets. You can't. So Like the Royals and the Yankees is the cool series, the series where we're going to get to watch some old highlights. You're going to hear Howard Cosell clips during this series. You're going to see Greg Nettles and George Brett get into it and Lou Piniella try to kill the home plate umpire. It's going to be great. I love the history just oozing from this series. And of course, Royals did get the most recent one. It was 44 years ago, but they did get the most recent one.
Yeah.
Back in 1980. A little bit more recent history. The games between the two teams this year. The Yankees went 5-2 against the Royals. They were 3-1. They took 3 out of 4 from the Royals in June. Remember when the month of June was the season-defining stretch for the Royals. And then in the other season-defining stretch for the Royals, what we termed the gauntlet, that 20-game spell at the end of August and through the beginning of September, the trip to the Bronx was the end of that. The Royals went 2-1 in that series. So you can look at that on paper and say, well, okay, yeah, the Yankees won 5 out of 7. That's kind of dominant. That indicates that an edge could be in the Yankees' hands. I'm telling you right now, throw out the games in June. The Royals in particular, but the Yankees as well, fundamentally different baseball teams than they were in June. Throw those games out. Just disregard them. Throw them out. Ignore them. They don't matter. Look at the September series. That's a little bit more telling. And I think that the retelling of those 3 games kind of makes you feel a little bit better about the Royals standing. Because if you'll recall, the Royals lost 2 out of 3 in that series. The opener was tight until the Yankees flipped it late and won the game 10-4. But it was a 4-3 Royals lead into the 7th. Do you remember who gave up all the runs in that particular bullpen meltdown? I bet you can guess, Brendan, because I'm using the term bullpen meltdown, and typically there were only but so many guys who were responsible for those.
Yeah, I mean, you can either point to, if you're starting March 28th to today, you pretty much can point to Smith, Stratton, or MacArthur, and it's one of the 3 of them.
In this case, it was 2 of the 3 of them.
Yep.
Remember, MacArthur gave up the 3-run homer to Austin Wells that gave the Yankees the lead, and then Stratton came in and gave up 3 runs in the 9th to really put the game beyond doubt. So that game was lost because of 2 guys who aren't going to factor in this playoff series. Throw it out. Game 2 of the series, Seth Lugo shoved for 7 innings. 3 hits, no runs, 10 strikeouts. Royals won the game 5-0. The third game of that series, the rubber game, fake baseball. It was tied through 9 innings. They play that joke Manfred Mann nonsense that you don't see in the playoffs, and the Yankees won the fake baseball game 4-3 in 11 innings. They ended up going to an 11th. Royals scored their ghost runner in the 10th, couldn't do it in the 11th. Yankees scored their ghost runner in both innings. Fake game, throw it out. It was a tie, essentially. So I think the Royals match up pretty well with the Yankees in this series. I know the Yankees are the capital N new, capital Y York, capital Y Yankees, the Bronx Bombers, and they have a 1-2 punch in their lineup of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto that is the envy of all of baseball. Only the Dodgers can match or exceed that. Judge is going to win the MVP, and as much as I hate to say it because Bobby Witt Jr.'s had such an unbelievable year, Judge is going to deserve the MVP. He had an unbelievable offensive year. Juan Soto would deserve the MVP in a world in which neither his teammate or Bobby Witt Jr. existed.
Yeah, the 3 best offensive players in the American League are all in this series.
Yeah.
Or all around. I mean, Soto's not much of a defender, but like, are the 3 of them the 3 AL leaders in wins above replacement?
I don't know if that's exactly right. It might depend on the calculation that you look at.
I mean, Witt clocked in at I'm using baseball reference here, at 9.4. Judge 10.8, Soto 7.9.
Yeah, the only American leaguers ahead of Soto were Gunnar Henderson and Jarren Duran of the Red Sox.
Okay.
So, yeah, 3 of the top 6.
He's a racist. Or no, I'm sorry. He's a homophobe, though, if he doesn't count.
Yes, yeah, a bigot, yes.
That's what the algorithm would tell you.
Yes. 3 of the top 6 players in all of baseball are in this series, which is really
wild.
Really something. Judge and Soto are awesome. Judge and Soto are anything less than awesome? Let's ask this question first. Let's say they're anything less than awesome the next week. Do the Yankees have enough firepower behind them to overcome what I really believe is a Royals advantage in starting pitching, a Royals advantage in relief pitching, a Royals advantage in team defense, a Royals advantage in base running, creating runs and preventing runs? I think advantage Royals. I think the Yankees have to have Judge and Soto be the best versions of themselves in this series. Otherwise, I think the Royals are going to win it.
I love your optimism. I love it. The Royals have scored 3 runs in the last 2 games.
This is true.
Like, I want to be there with you. I really want to be there with you. But you can because, like, pitching-wise, yes. Advantage Royals. Reagan's, Waka. Well, it's going to go Watkins. It'll go Waka, Reagan's, Lugo in that order. Love it. Great. The 2 of them were incredible in the last series, and I trust Michael Waka as much as either of them because of how well he's pitched in the back half of the year.
Yeah, been really good.
And the Yankees are going to be able to throw 3 pretty good pitchers. I mean, they're going Cole tomorrow, Rodon on Monday. I assume Heel in Game 3.
I think it's going to be Luis Heel. It's either going to be him or Clark Schmidt, but Schmidt has more bullpen experience, which would mean it might make more sense to use him in that capacity.
Yeah, and Heel had a really good year. So they're good. I think the Royals are better with their top 3 in the rotation. The Yankees are good, though. Bullpen, yeah, favor the Royals as of late. Here's the problem, though. If it's not the big guns for the Royals, who's it going to be?
That is an extremely fair rejoinder.
That is my concern, because if you look up and down the lineup for each of these teams, like, okay, you trust Bobby. You trust Sal. Salvi is one of the few guys who you actually do trust in a playoff moment because he's been there before.
Yeah.
He's had those moments in his career before. So you feel good there. It was great to see Vinny get a hit in Game 2 against the Orioles.
Yeah, he's swinging the bat fine. He's had a couple of days off to get further away from the surgery, and I would expect him to maybe not be the power threat necessarily, but like a run-producing threat in the middle of the lineup, a guy who can give you a good at-bat. Yeah, absolutely.
He can get you a sac fly.
Yeah, he sure can.
He can get you a sac fly. Here's the problem. Who's going to get to third base? That's my worry, because once you get from 5 down, I'm concerned. And the Yankees...
Let me do a quick rejoinder to your rejoinder here. At Yankee Stadium, you know what sac flies tend to turn into?
Home runs.
Yeah.
Which is great, which is wonderful. I'll take those. Happily, we'll take those. And the Yankees aren't great. They're not. I mean, they gave so many at-bats this year to Alex. Dude, they gave 621 plate appearances to Alex Verdugo, who
slugged 356.
Yeah, not great. Not good at all.
A left-handed hitter at Yankee Stadium slugged 356 and 621 at-bats.
In fact, don't look away from the Yankees lineup for a moment. How many Yankees in their regular, everyday 9-man batting order slugged over 400?
Slugged over 400? Yeah. Judge and Soto. The catcher, Wells?
Nope.
Okay. That Chisholm, when he came over. Jazz Chisholm.
Yes, Chisholm would have, yes. He didn't play all that much for the Yankees this year, though.
Stanton.
Giancarlo Stanton. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Yeah. Your other, like, regular guys, like Rizzo was awful this year and played less and was injured a bunch. Wells only got to 395. Gleyber Torres doesn't hit for any power, 378. Anthony Volpe doesn't hit for any power, 364. Verdugo, 356. Like, they don't have pop. They have a few guys that can hit the ball 500 feet. And then that's pretty much it.
So they led the American League in home runs, but they had 2 guys combined for 99 of their 237 home runs. And then the third guy hit 27, and that was Stanton. And they didn't have another guy hit more than 15.
To a point, I feel like the Yankees lineup is sort of a supercharged version of the Royals lineup. Like, just in terms of you've got 3 guys who can crush the ball. Now, Giancarlo Stanton is... No dude with that sort of build and physique should be as slow as him. It seems impossible. Like, they don't have a ton of team speed overall. I think the Royals might have an advantage there. But, like, Judge, Soto, Stanton, I think, is a supercharged version of Witt, Salvi, Pasquantino. And they play different positions. They're different kinds of players. I get that. But it's the same kind of thing that you've got 3 dudes who, sure.
Yeah, those are the guys you have to be concerned with.
And then a bunch of... Ew. I like Wells. I like Austin Wells a lot, especially for a catcher. I like his game a lot. But that's, like, what's your comparison for the Royals? Like,
Michael Massey, probably.
Massey, probably, yeah. Like, okay. I just feel like the offense for the Yankees is the same thing, but better than the Royals group. Not that the Royals group is bad, but that might be your difference in this series if everything is fairly close the rest of the way. The Yankees have problems in their bullpen. They have had issues in the back end all year long. Clay Holmes, terrifying. Like, if you're a Yankees fan, you are sweating a 3-run or less game with you in the lead.
Yeah, like they've got some guys who put up some big strikeout numbers, including, infuriatingly, former Royal Luke Weaver, who somehow became a monster out of their bullpen, striking out 103 guys in 84 innings.
2.89 ERA!
But yeah, the bullpen is largely wobbly. Like, Carlos Rodon was durable this year, but not spectacular. Like, this is not a Yankees team outside of Judge and Soto that puts the fear of God in you. And they have had teams like that in the playoffs. They've had teams like that in recent memory, who you looked at their lineup and go, oh my God, where's the out? Where am I going to get 3 outs? This lineup is, where are they going to score if it's not Judge and Soto going nuts? That's the whole series for me, is if the Royals can contain Judge and Soto, which is a hell of a lot easier said than done. But if they can contain those guys, if they can keep them in the ballpark, just minimize their impact a little bit, turn them into good hitters and not otherworldly hitters, they may not have enough offense to keep up.
Are you taking the bat out of their hands? Are you just saying screw it, take first base?
I mean, every chance I get, every realistic chance I get to do that. Like, I'm not giving them full Barry Bonds treatment, but like, would I consider walking Judge with like a runner on first and 2 outs in the late innings? Yeah, I would. To pitch to Stanton? Yes. I mean, if they're going to bat Soto ahead of Judge, yeah, I'd rather pitch to Stanton than Judge. I can strike out Stanton. So not me, literally, but like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I would rather deal with Stanton and an extra base runner on than deal with, even though Stanton hit 27 home runs this year. It's very funny. Like, Giancarlo Stanton, you look at him and you think, oh my God, what a millstone. What a terrible contract. He's been such a disappointment since he came over to the Yankees. And then you look at his baseball reference page, you go, this guy's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yes, without question. Without question.
Yeah, man. Like, he's sailing into the Hall of Fame. He's going to get 500 career home runs.
Like, I look at the last day of the second to last day of the year of the regular season, September 28th. That was the last time that Aaron Judge played for the Yankees. He didn't play in the finale. They went Soto, Judge, Wells, Stanton as 2 through 5. Like I told you, I like Austin Wells. I like his game. But if I got Aaron Judge coming up with 1 on or none on, and my alternative option is I get to pitch to Austin Wells, I'm putting Judge on base, man. And some people are going to say, oh, you cowards. I'm sorry. I'm smart. That's like people who say don't fight dirty. Don't throw a low blow during a fight. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to get punched in the face? No, I'm going to kick that guy in the junk every time. Like, don't call me a coward. That's the smart thing to do. The smart thing here, probably just put him on base.
So, yeah, you have Soto in the 2-hole, Judge in the 3-hole. That's been the alignment virtually all season long. And that's why, real quick, the most important players for the Royals in this series, like, obviously Bobby Witt Jr., because he's the only guy, like, if Judge does go nuts in this series, or if Soto is great in this series, Bobby Witt Jr. is going to have to be too, because he's the one guy for the Royals that can match that. And Cole Reagans is significant too as the game 2 starter, because he can either flip home field if the Royals lose game 1, or he can bury the Yankees in a 2-0 hole if the Royals win game 1. And he's your probable game 5 starter too. Like, you're going to be able to start Reagans twice in this series the way it's spaced out. So he's obviously very important. But the guys who I think are sneaky important too in this series are the early inning left-hand relievers of Sam Long and Angel Zerpa, both of whom throwing the ball really, really well down the stretch. Those guys might be called upon in the middle innings, 5th, 6th, maybe even the 7th, to try and get Soto in a big spot, right? Like, you can see that. It's 3rd time through the order for a starting pitcher. Soto's up. Maybe Gleyber Torres is on base. Maybe Trevino or Verdugo or Volpe is on base. And you've got to get Soto out. You go to a lefty. Well, the thing about the 3-batter rule is the lefty has to face the next guy too. And the next guy is Aaron Judge. So Sam Long and Angel Zerpa are going to face some power in some big spots. And I think those guys are going to be really good in this series.
For what it's worth, just real quick, Cole Reagans, Aaron Judge went 0 for 2 against him in their one face-off earlier this year.
There you have it.
Royals win?
I am fascinated by this series. We'll make our official predictions for that one and all of the division series on the other side of this break. Matt Derrick joins us bottom of this hour. Stay with us. We're just getting started. It's a Blue Friday for the Royals on 580 Sports Talk. Division Series play opens tomorrow. All 4 of the Division Series will be in action. Then the AL Series get a day off Sunday. Then the NL Series get a day off after their first 2 games on Monday. We'll start the National League, make quick predictions for the Division Series. First, the Phillies and the Mets, NL East rivals. Mets, of course, advancing in dramatic fashion with Pete Alonso's go-ahead home run in the 9th inning, helping them beat the Brewers 4-2 in Game 3 of that series last night. Phillies, Mets, Spencer Dupuis, who you got?
I got the Phillies. I think they can't be stopped this year. But it's weird. They've never played each other in the postseason.
Yeah.
Never once.
Never once. Never happened.
Kodai Senga is going to start Game 1 for the Mets. He has not pitched in months. Someone brought out an old quote that he gave a couple years ago when he first came, or I believe it was 2022. I don't know if that was his first year in the U.S. or not. And he was asked, who are you most excited to face? And he broke from Japanese and said in English, Phillies lineup. That is going to come back and bite him in the ass. Mets get swept.
Yeah, the Phillies were my World Series pick before the playoffs started. I think they win this series. Dodgers, Padres.
I'll flip. I'll join you. I'll go with the Padres. I'm worried about Dodgers pitching.
Yeah, I just don't think the Dodgers have the arms. Although if Shohei Ohtani does Ohtani stuff for a week, it may not matter. Spencer, what do you think?
I'm right on with you guys.
Worried about that pitching for the Dodgers. They got Yamamoto lined up for Game 1, probably Flaherty for Game 2.
Had Shohei been pitching this year, I would be no question on them.
Yeah, if they could roll out like Ohtani and Kershaw and then maybe Sandy Koufax for Game 3, that would be wonderful. But unfortunately, all of everybody's arms fell off on that team, and they don't have enough in the bullpen. I think the Padres win that series. In the American League, the Guardians and the Tigers. Boy, it feels like a fool's errand to pick against the Tigers right now. But I feel like the Guardians are just a better version of what the Tigers have been doing for the last 2 months. So I'm going to go with the Guardians, but I do so with trepidation.
I'm going to go with the Guardians. My man, Lane Thomas, who unfortunately I couldn't get his Lane Train bobblehead when I went back to D.C. before he was traded. So I think they're going to win.
Tigers.
Very scientific from Brendan Wrzezinski. It's
Who's playing better?
Yeah, like nobody is. Yeah. That's entirely valid.
They also have the best player in the series.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, Tarek Skubal. Yeah.
He might only pitch once, but they've got the best player.
Yeah, like it is a scary thought to think that he could go twice in a 5-game series, and you probably have to beat him once.
Yep.
And that's not a fun prospect.
You're down 0-1. You're starting the series down 0-1.
Finally, Yankees and Royals. I'm gonna do it. I'm pushing the button. I'm taking the Royals. I think they're better at everything else. The Yankees are Soto and Judge merchants. And I think the pressure is all on the Yankees in this series.
Pressure's always on the Yankees.
Yeah.
I'm going Royals.
Guys, the Royals might start Adam Frazier and Garrett Hampson in playoff games. I'm sorry. I'm taking the Yankees.
I understand. Like, look.
I'm sorry.
Look.
I want to. I want to pick the Royals. They might start Garrett Hampson and Adam Frazier in playoff series.
Entirely fair. Entirely fair take. We're going to take a break. We'll take a break from talking baseball and get into some Chiefs football with our insider, Matt Derrick, next on 580 Sports Talk.
Michigan at michiganbusiness.org.
Bentley, you want to go on a Viking cruise? This is Tim from Cruise Holidays of Topeka. Join us for an exclusive happy hour event and discover the art of travel with Viking Cruises, Tuesday, October 22nd at 5:30. With meticulous, curated itineraries designed to inspire, you'll find the perfect voyage aboard Viking's award-winning fleet. Let us help you plan an unforgettable journey with Viking Cruises. Call Cruise Holidays of Topeka to register.
As you head into retirement, do you ever ask yourself, will I run out of money before I run out of life? Take the fear out of your retirement by tuning into the Retirement Income Hour with Mark Baldwin. Mark will have information that will help you navigate through those golden years. The Retirement Income Hour is a show built with your financial future in mind. Be sure to listen to the Retirement Income Hour with Mark Balder, Sunday mornings at 8. Investment advisory services offered through Mid-American Wealth Advisory Group, an SEC registered investment advisory firm.
WIBW, Topeka.
So we look forward to the challenge. We look forward to that challenge.
I'm going to Kansas City. Mr. Official, let me ask you something. How can 6 of you miss a play like that?
His name is Matt.
Are you ready?
My name is Matt.
Let's go.
Matt Derrick is our Chiefs insider, and he joins us every Friday on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt is the Chiefs beat writer for ChiefsDigest.com. You can find him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. And Matt, what is something, like a Family Feud style answer here, what is something they're going to find when they arthroscope Rashee Rice's knee next week in the imaging?
Oh, I could give a funny answer that would get me into trouble, but
show me potato salad.
Oh, there you go. That's a good answer.
Good answer. Good answer. Woo, good answer.
Let's go with a hopeful answer. An intact ACL.
Survey says.
We'll find out next week with everyone else when Rashee Rice goes and gets his knee arthroscoped in Dallas. That is the latest, by the way, that the Chiefs are just going to wait on that, let the swelling get down a little bit in that right knee. It sure felt like worst case scenario, and it still may yet be, Matt Derrick. But I thought the Chiefs, and I talked about this with Mitch Holtz yesterday, showed a little bit of championship mettle, being able to recover from the situation they found themselves in immediately after Rice's injury, when they're down 7-0 and Rice is being carted off and the defense is backed up against the wall to basically dominate the football game from that point forward. Just another example of why this team keeps winning every week.
Yeah, it was a crummy first quarter. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong for that team. Defense was not good on the first drive. Carson Steele fumbles, you have an interception, you lose Rashee Rice and what looks like a really nasty injury. And you're right, at that point, it certainly looked like that was the beginning of the end for the Chiefs. But defense, stands. You just all you do is give up a field goal there. And then after that, things got a lot better. I mean, the offense, especially once that Rashee Rice touchdown, the Xavier Worthy touchdown from Mahomes, that throw, everything seemed to really just change things for the offense. I thought Mahomes had some throws in the second half that showed some real progress as far as maybe just kind of getting that swagger back that you're used to having with Patrick Mahomes. But the defense was spectacular. I mean, I don't think that's really been talked about enough. I mean, they gave it more yards in the first quarter than they did in the rest of the game. It was a rough start, but once that team, kind of kicked in, they kicked in. And, I mean, really pretty dominant 3 quarters. If that just played that way from the beginning, my goodness, they probably could have shut out the Chargers. I mean, that was a really strong performance from the defense. And like I said, I think there's signs of life. We'll see if the offense can build on it this week.
What's the biggest thing that Patrick Mahomes has to do to return to form?
I mean, for lack of better phrasing or anything else, I mean, just be himself. I think we've seen him trying to put a lot on his shoulders. And I think, especially through the first 3.5 games, I think that he was just trying to be perfect. I think he felt like he had to be perfect. And, and I think you saw him steering the ball a lot, and quarterbacks, pitchers, anybody who throws will always tell you, if you try to steer the ball, it's not going to go where you want it. You're not going to have the control. You're not going to have the accuracy that you want. When you just try to be too fine with it, you end up making mistakes. And I think we saw that. And a great example, just, 1 week to the next, Mahomes really tried to make that throw to Cam Taylor-Britt against the Bengals, just an absolutely perfect throw a couple of weeks ago, and ends up throwing it short and turns into an interception. Then you saw him just say, hey, Xavier, I'm going to throw this ball. If the safety comes down, I'm going to throw this ball as far as I can and just go get it. And you see what happens. I mean, and I think he had a couple of those throws. There's one, the throw that the Kelsey in the second half, that I think had to go through about 15 defenders to get there. That's what Mahomes does. And I think that it's just, to me, it's more react. It's more playing by instinct. If he does that more, I think good things are going to happen, because I think we've seen him not only just steer the ball a lot, but I think we have seen a lot of him second guessing himself through the first 4 weeks. And I saw a lot less of that in the second half against the Chargers.
We're joined by Matt Derrick. He covers the Kansas City Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com. Covers it better than anybody. That's where you can go find all of his work. You can find him on Twitter as well, at Matt Derrick. And he joins us for our Chiefs Insider every Friday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt, how seriously are the Chiefs going to consider trading for a wide receiver, whether or not they have Rashee Rice long-term?
I don't think it's going to be very serious. I mean, I could be surprised, but I think it's going to be a fairly shallow pool. I mean, one, it's probably too early to look at it too closely from a trade standpoint, because, there's not that many teams that are just completely out of it. And I think that the Chiefs are going to be, what they would want for a receiver right now is different than what they have probably tried to acquire in the past. Whenever they have gone in mid-season to try and acquire a receiver, even when it was Kadarius Toney, the Kadarius Toney trade was essentially for the next 2 years. It was not for that first year. They felt like anything that they got from Toney in year one, mid-season, was just going to be pure gravy. They acquired him because he had a couple of years of team control after that. Didn't work out the way they wanted to, but that was the appeal of that trade. If they make a deal now and it's for somebody in season just to make an impact this year, as in a 1-year rental, half-year rental, I mean, you're looking at a different criteria. I mean, Andy Reid pretty much spelled it out on Monday. One of the things that they're going to have if they go to get somebody that you want to fit into this offense this year, has got to be familiarity with this offense. So it's going to be either somebody that has been with this team before, has played for an Andy Reid style offense. So maybe they've played for a Doug Peterson or a Matt Nagy, maybe, Brian Dable, Mike Kafka combination in New York. I mean, there's a few other offenses around the league that I think you could, but it's got to be somebody for whom, hey, the terminology is not going to be that big of a change. Maybe they even understand it, but they get the concepts. They've played in something similar. You take that consideration along with who's available in trade because their team is out of it, and you get a really small pool. And then you throw in, Chiefs don't have a ton of salary cap space, so it's got to be somebody affordable. I just don't know. I mean, once you take all those criteria, it's going to be a very small pool of receivers that they would be looking at. I think they feel like that the die is cast probably with the receiver group that they have, and that their solution to making up for that production is probably going to be, maybe a small move like with today. I mean, they add Jody Fortson to the 53-player roster. It's going to be tight ends. It's going to be running backs. It's going to be other places. And, yeah, I mean, some of the receivers, too, have got to step up. I mean, that's how they're going to replace that Rice production.
So, Matt, great insight. And I'm going to read between the lines a little bit here. How many weeks until MVS is on this roster?
Well, I guess the Bills have to give up on him first, right?
I mean, he only has 2 catches through 4 weeks. I think we might have already gotten to that point.
Yeah, they might. Maybe they are ready to give up. I'll tell you, to me, I think the poster child for who the Chiefs might end up, looking at would be like a guy like DeMarcus Robinson. But once again, I mean, I don't see the Rams aren't ready to give up yet. So, I think if the Chiefs are going to get serious, they're going to get closer to that November 5th trade deadline. And maybe you want to see a couple of teams fall out of the race. But I mean, Marquez, I guess he still has his home here in Kansas City, so maybe it would be a good fit.
Man, if the Chiefs brought back DeMarcus Robinson, I'd have a lot of old tweets I would have to go delete, let me tell you. So with the jankiness, I guess you could say, of the offense, like, it's not bad. It's not elite, but it's not bad right now. It's not like Mahomes is playing terribly. They're still fine at worst, pretty good at best at the moment. So while they're trying to figure things out and make it a more smooth operation, though, Matt, is this defense still good enough to carry them to a not just division title, but one of the top couple seeds in the AFC, if it does, like last year, take most of the season to get in a rhythm?
I think it is. I mean, really, the only thing you could fault this defense for right now is, I mean, I guess just, big plays. And by that, I'm talking about getting more turnovers and getting sacks. Sacks are something that can come in bunches. I mean, there are only 4 games of the season. Maybe there's more production to come. Chris Jones has obviously been on a tear. I mean, he's been playing great. He wants all those sacks of his own, of course. He wants that half sack back. But I think that's the only thing that's really lacking. The rest of it, they're doing. I mean, they're shutting down opposing teams' running backs. The 4 games in a row, they've held a very good rusher, the very worst on other teams, has absolutely held them down. You look at what, especially like J.K. Robbins had done the first 3 weeks, and absolutely took him out of the game last week. And then you look at like what Derrick Henry did after he plays the Chiefs. He's had a really good season so far. So the pass defense, I think, has been fine. It's just, and if they're able to get the pass rush to where it was a year ago, and they end up number 2 in the league in sacks again, then this defense is going to be even better. So I still think their best football defensively is ahead of them, and the defense is playing really well right now.
We're joined by Matt Derrick here of Chiefs Digest. And Matt, how concerned are you, if any, with the injury report from today? Obviously, still got another practice to go tomorrow before Monday's game, but McCole Hardman not practicing with a knee, and then Kareem Hunt limited back-to-back days with a shoulder.
Yeah, the McCole injury might be notable, because if that's the case, then the Chiefs might need 2 receivers up for the practice squad this week. I mean, obviously they added another tight end with Jody Fortson, like I said, but you're not going to have Rashee Rice, so they may need to elevate a receiver for that. But if McCole can't go, you probably want another special teams player, special return specialist. So I can certainly make a case right now for both Justin Ross and Nico Remigio maybe being active this week and elevated. We'll see what happens there. Not a huge surprise with Kareem. It doesn't sound like there's anything serious with him in the shoulder. I mean, he's been limited the last couple of days, but certainly seems like and sounds like he is going to play this week. Probably not a huge surprise that a guy just off the street hasn't played football in almost 10 months, gets dinged up in the first game a little bit and was a little sore. Probably not a big surprise, but it doesn't sound like he's going to be a problem at all. And then, Mike Dana coming back from the calf, missed the game, but looking like he's on course to play this week too.
All right, last thing, Matt. We got about 30 seconds. Just finish this sentence for me. The Chiefs beat the Saints and go to 5-0 on Monday night if?
I'm going to say Derek Carr makes mistakes. I mean, I think that's probably the big one. I mean, Derek Carr can beat anybody if he plays mistake-free football. We've seen that before in KC. Not that the Chiefs can't win even if he does, but that's the number one thing that can happen. You force Derek Carr to make mistakes, you're going to win.
Boy, that would be unprecedented. I've never seen Derek Carr make mistakes against the Chiefs before. It's just unthinkable. But when we do see it on Monday night, Matt Derrick will cover it all for ChiefsDigest.com. He's our Chiefs insider joining us on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, a pleasure as always. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great, Dan. Take care, my friends.
That is Matt Derrick. We'll take a break, wrap up this hour, 580 Sports Talk after this. quick round of change my mind here as we wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. Change my mind. The NFC South is fun.
No, I won't change your mind. It is fun.
I didn't watch it. I watched the highlights. That was real fun. That was vintage Kirk Cousins.
I turned the
what a thing to say.
I turned the game off right after the final Atlanta turnover of regulation. Or I'm sorry, yeah, Atlanta turnover. And my wife asked, "Oh, who won?" And I said, Bucks are going to win. They're going to roll with it." I told her, classic primetime Kirk. Lo and behold, we have some family in town this weekend, and I turned the game back on later and thought, "What the hell?"
Apparently, primetime Kirk is good now.
He pulled out the "you like that" in the locker room.
I bet he did.
He was swag surfing on the field. Dude's feeling
living
himself,
his best
man.
life.
Yeah, all of a sudden, really like entertaining vibes in that division. I
Drake
never would have
London
thought
actually made some plays.
He did.
Finally.
A fun Thursday night game.
No, that division, I'm willing to say it. Not just are they fun, that division is good.
We'll
aside
talk-
from the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, but even they have a pulse now. We've got our Bet Prairie Band 580 Sports Talk picks coming up. We'll start the 4 o'clock hour next. Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk, hour number 2 on this Friday afternoon. Gang's all here. Dan Lucero, Brendan Brzezinski, Spencer Dupuis hanging out with you until 6 o'clock. Some of us will go our separate ways before then. We've got a busy night coming up here on 580 WIBW and elsewhere. Brendan, you've got some volleyball tonight out at Lee Arena.
That's right. Some Washburn volleyball action. I'll be filling in on the MIAA Network broadcast for that one. Chris Herron's group, 10-3 so far this year, 1-2 in MIAA play. Picked up a big win over Pitt State yesterday, and now right back at it again tonight against the Newman Jets. So if you want to support some Washburn sports momentarily before you get over to high school football tonight, you'll be able to do so on the MIAA Network.
So that's what Brendan's up to tonight. Yours truly is calling some high school football. We got our Lewis Toyota 580 Preps Game of the Week tonight here on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9 from Hummer Sports Park. Topeka High going up against Washburn Rural. We got Mark in the comments of the YouTube, big Topeka High fan, Topeka High alum, I believe, rooting on the Trojans tonight. So hope you, Mark, check the game out, and hope others listen in as well. Myself, Greg Akagi, Spencer Dupuis on the broadcast tonight as Topeka High puts their 4-0 record on the line against 1-3 Washburn Rural. We'll start our pregame coverage at 6 o'clock with the 580 Preps Coaches Club. So as you're on your way to a high school game tonight, stay tuned to us, and you can hear from the city head coaches who have games elsewhere tonight. That'll be Hayden and Seaman and Highland Park and Care Paravel and Shawnee Heights. And then, of course, during our pregame coverage, you'll hear from both the Washburn Rural and Topeka High head coaches before we get to the kickoff from Hummer Sports Park. So jam-packed 6 o'clock hour today. Spencer Dupuis will have the 5 o'clock hour solo.
It'll be the youngest in charge movement.
Yes, it will. Been a minute since we've let you drive or given you the keys one way or another, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
So we will, we'll have plenty of Spencer in the 5 o'clock hour and still some of me because can't leave rap alone. The game needs me. I did record a interview earlier this week with Richard Konzem. He is the executive director of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, and they are bringing their induction ceremony to Topeka, not this coming Sunday, but the next Sunday, October 13th. Tickets still on sale at kshof.org. It'll be out at Hotel Topeka. And Richard talked to me about becoming the executive director because he was appointed less than a month ago, and also talked to me about the ceremony and how excited they are to have all 12 inductees into the class of 2024 set to attend, as well as some past honorees as well who will be in attendance, and maybe some surprises as well. So it's going to be a great event, going to be a really cool opportunity for people who are there to be able to mingle a little bit with the honorees for the 2024 class of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. Now, I know you haven't been yet, Spencer, because you just got here, relatively speaking. Have you been?
I've never been. I've been past the building, but I've never been.
Yeah, it's really cool to spend some time at the Wichita Boathouse. Check out the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame if you have not before. Next time you're down in the Air Capital, you should make the trip. And Richard Konzem spoke to me earlier this week, so we're going to play that interview in the 5 o'clock hour. Your texts to the Top City Metal Supply text line are welcome. 785-272-9429. From construction sites to renovations, from the farm to the garage, Top City Metal Supply understands the value of precision and cost efficiency. No more wasted materials, no more wasted money, just metal cut to the exact size you need. Top City Metal Supply is located on South Topeka Boulevard, just north of Forbes Field. If you're watching us live on YouTube right now, 580 Sports Talk is the YouTube channel, or you can watch us on Facebook in video as well. WIBW News is the page. Interact with us, leave us comments, or jump on into the live chat on YouTube and interact with other listeners to the show as well. Still to come this hour, we're crowning a What Is Wrong With You champ for the week, the first October weekly champion. Tall task to try and take down Rashee Rice's mom, but 2 Florida stories that may well be up to the task. I cannot believe.
That's not a euphemism. It's really Rashee Rice's mom.
No, it's not like, oh, this is something that Rashee Rice would have done. It's like his mom. Haha. No, it's his mom, a porch pirate, stealing things.
Very obviously.
No,
come on, like change out of the jersey that says Mama Rice on it.
No effort made to disguise her identity. So yeah, Rashee Rice's mom literally is our current What Is Wrong With You champion. We'll have 2 news stories later on. We'll talk about the college football weekend to come, including a look at KU Arizona State. But first, it is time for the new installment in our Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk Picks Contest, which is brought to you by Prairie Band Sportsbook. in Mayetta, inside Prairie Band Casino and Resort. And when I say inside, I mean it is just inside. In the front door, just to your right, Prairie Band Sportsbook. That's going to be the place to be this weekend for all the college football action, plus the Royals on Saturday, all of the NFL action on Sunday, and then the big night Monday night. I bet that joint is going to be jumping on Monday night with Royals playoff baseball and the Chiefs on Monday Night Football.
Oh, yeah.
You can watch the games and bet your way at Prairie Band Sportsbook, and they sponsor our 580 Sports Talk Picks contest. Now, last week, your boy, me, threw out another 4-1, 8-2 in the last 2 weeks, starting to find my footing after a slow start. It's a long season, but I'm pleased with my progress. Still trailing Brendan overall by a game. Brendan, 2-3 last week. Spencer also 2-3 last week. He's bringing up the rear. So Brendan is 12-11, just head above water. I am 11-1 down the vig, and Spencer is 9-14 on the season. Ironically enough, our best picks every week are our wild card picks. We're all above 500 with our wild card picks. So,
we've all started to go with the over-unders, though. That's why.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good nose for the over-unders, as it turns out. The spreads need some work. The only one of us who is over 500 in any one sport, Brendan, is 7-3 picking college football so far.
It's always been my game.
An impressive showing. Yeah.
I think at least one of those losses is him trying to put KU in there.
Yeah, that's one of mine too. Spencer, on the other hand, you are 3-7 in college football. So
yeah,
you gotta step your game up. Anyhow, 5 picks, you know the drill. 2 picks against the spread in college football, 2 picks against the spread in the NFL, and a wild card pick that could be anything. Spoiler alert, it's an over-under again for all of us. So another spoiler alert, we're all on our favorite teams this week in the NFL, which is kind of funny. Anyhow, started from the bottom.
Except for you copied me and had to be on your team.
I didn't. Spencer, you are in last place. I am not copying you. I promise.
Hey, I had it up there before you.
Spencer, I will let you then, in that spirit, make your selections first. Who do you got this week, Spencer?
All right, college football. I got Virginia Tech -8, Stanford. This is at Virginia Tech, so Stanford's got to come all the way to the East Coast in Atlantic Coast or All Coast Conference action, I guess you could call it. Now, I got Iowa State favored by 12.5 against Baylor. I think that'll be easy. Baylor's Baylor. And then to the NFL, I got the Seahawks favored by 6.5 over the Giants, which I placed on there before you did. And then I got the Commanders favored by 3.5 against Cleveland. My wild card pick is Miami and New England staying the under of 36.5.
Which is your lock of the week?
That's my lock of the week.
That's icky. That is straight up icky.
If you again, I think it's a good pick because the rule of thumb generally is if there's an NFL total that is around 36, it's because they can't get the computer to make it any lower.
Yeah.
Like their projection models just don't allow for less of a total than that. That game is going to be poop. Like, if you watch that game, please seek help. Regarding your other picks, I think we are probably at the stage of the Big 12 season where it's time to start treating Baylor like we did Cincinnati last year. And
they stink.
Just assume they're not going to cover any spread that they're involved in.
That was why I did it, because that's where I'm at.
They're wretched, and I think they're about ready to quit. And if Iowa State's who people are claiming that they should cover that 12.5 pretty handily in Ames. So Washington went to 3.5, by the way. You had it down for 3 this morning. It jumped half a point. You still like it?
Yeah.
I understand. Cleveland's pretty
Wait, it was 3.5 when I looked at it.
Oh, okay then. I thought you had written it down as 3 on accident, but I
did.
It is 3.5. Washington laying 3.5 against Cleveland. So Spencer is drinking the Jaden Daniels Kool-Aid by the gallon. It's leaving rings on the table and everything in his Commander's Tervis.
I've learned to not buy the jerseys. That's what I've learned.
That's wise. That's smart.
I had the RG3 jersey
and wisdom.
I had the RG3 jersey, and now I learned not to buy anything after that.
That's just called smart investing. Good money management there on your part. So those are Spencer's picks for the week. I'll go second since I am in second place presently. My 2 college football picks. I'm riding with Paul Meyerberg on the Dumpster Juice pick of the week this week. We talk to Paul Meyerberg for the Big 12 football breakdown every week, and then we take a look at the worst matchup of the week. Objectively, I think it is Western Michigan at Ball State. Western Michigan, 9.5-point road favorite. Ball State is so wretched. I think Western Michigan wins this game handily, so I'll lay the 9.5. Also laying 2.5 with San Diego State at home against Hawaii. I think the Aztecs are a lot better and should be able to cover a field goal on their home field. On the NFL side, yes, Spencer, I'm with you. I'm tailing, whatever you want me to say. On the Seahawks, minus 6.5. I think Seattle's offense is legitimately excellent. I worry about their defense. They're still a little banged up. They're hoping to get some guys back this week. They were without a lot of guys against the Lions. Even if they don't get them all back, no Devin Singletary and no Malik Neighbors for the Giants. Also, Daniel Jones against the Mike McDonald defense in Seattle.
Doesn't seem great.
No, I don't think they're going to score a lot of points. Like, even if Seattle has an off day offensively, I don't know how the Giants are going to score like double digits.
Mm-hmm.
I think
they're not.
That's a game I have an eye on an alternate spread, to be completely honest with you. And my lock of the week this week, Houston -1 against Buffalo. I think Buffalo got exposed a little bit, and they're really beat up this week to the point where that line actually flipped. Buffalo was an early week favorite. Now they're a 1-point dog. It's essentially a pick 'em. I'll go with Houston at home. I think that this is a chance for them to establish their AFC contender bona fides, and also Stephon Diggs' revenge game. I think those factors in their favor make me like the Texans.
See, I'm interested in that pick because I very nearly put Buffalo on mine, because Houston, like last Sunday night, the Ravens just beat the Bills' brains in. Congratulations, we're going to beat you to death with rocks. Like, that's what they did with that rushing attack. Houston's run game is absolute basura. It is horrible.
And Joe Mixon this week.
And no Joe Mixon this week. The one thing you can do to beat the Bills, like, there are ways to beat them, but the one thing you can do that's the easy button is you attack their linebackers, because the Bills linebackers are bad. Houston can't run the ball, and they don't really do a lot of attacking the middle because they get in 3rd and 8 or longer like every single sequence. So that's the worry I have for Houston, is they kind of are in sort of a weird spot where they have to rely on CJ Stroud to be great, which, in fairness, he is incredible and has been better so far this year than I think he was even in the second half of last year. In Houston, I think makes it different. That's the game of the weekend for me in terms of just intrigue and quality of teams. That's my game of the week.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by that game. And I think you're right. I think it's valid concern for Buffalo. Looked great for 3 weeks and then ran into a team that was built to expose their weaknesses and relentlessly expose them in Baltimore last Sunday night. But Buffalo won't have Ed Oliver, and they won't have Von Miller.
That's true.
And I'm not sure that they're going to get any kind of pass pressure, and that just suggests to me that CJ Stroud's going to have a monster day.
Totally fair.
My wild card is the total from the Big Ten. I'm on the under 40.5 points in Rutgers, Nebraska. There might be like 9 combined possessions in that game. Rutgers runs the ball, and they play so slow. I really like the under on this game a lot. It feels very 20-17 to me. I don't know who's going to win. You have an idea of who might cover it because you're on the game as one of your picks, Brendan.
That is indeed true. Excellent segue work, Dan. I'm going Rutgers as a 7-point dog at Nebraska. It is amazing. The Rutgers football program, there is one man on earth who is able to coach that team successfully. One person. And he is in his second stint doing it. It is Greg Schiano. That game is going to be hideous. It is going to be low scoring. I agree with you. And look, if we're saying we're going to have 40 points or fewer in a game, and I think Nebraska is better than they were in previous years. I don't think they are that much better than Rutgers. 7 points is a pretty big spread for a game that's going to have such a low point total. I think Rutgers is going to muddy it up. I think it's going to be a nasty game. I think it's going to be a fast game. I think Rutgers is going to try to shorten the game as much as possible. And I think they're going to keep it close. So I'm going to take Rutgers as a road dog. Also, in college football, UConn is a 17-point favorite against Temple, and I'm taking the Huskies. They are currently, according to Tracer, that's from Stats Inc., that's their proprietary model. Shout out to my guy, Evan, who's done the modeling for that. They are ranked 55th in the country. Here is a list of teams that UConn is more efficient than so far this year. James Madison, who hung 70 on a Power 4 opponent earlier this season. Illinois, who beat Kansas, Michigan State and Maryland, Oklahoma State and Texas Tech from the Big 12, and Baylor, funny enough. all on the same page here. UConn has been better than all of those teams, according to the advanced metrics so far this year. And I think they're going to hammer Temple, who is terrible. From the NFL, my lock of the week, I hate making the homer pick my pick of the week. And I hate especially doing it as a road favorite. But I'm taking the Packers against the Rams. Packers, I have it written down wrong here. I wrote +3. They're actually a 3-point favorite in this game. I'm still taking the Packers here, though. I think Jordan Love is going to be great. He was awesome in the second half against Minnesota, a much better defense than the Rams and a much healthier defense than what the Rams have. And the Packers defense against the Rams offense that doesn't have Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua and a run game that just has not gotten going, an awful offensive line that's on backups all over the place. I just think the Packers have too many dudes and I think have a much better quarterback situation than Matt Stafford's going to walk into. So I think Green Bay wins. I think they cover. Plus, Matt LaFleur has been really, really good against Sean McVay since taking over in 2019.
Are you worried about the fact that you are on the depth chart at wide receiver this week?
For Green Bay?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. I will say I like Bo Melton a lot more as wide receiver 5 than I do as wide receiver 3. I like that quite a bit.
Why does that sound like a fake name?
Yeah, it does. It does. I love the Packers tight ends, though. I think this is going to be a game where Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave can put up some big numbers. So I'll still take Green Bay. My other one, home favorite here, Pittsburgh, a 2.5-point favorite against Dallas. I will be the first one to tell you I don't think Justin Fields is any good. I am also willing to tell you right now that he has played winning football for the Steelers. It's limited. They don't need him to do a lot. But he is the exact kind of running quarterback that can make life hell for Dallas because Dallas is a bunch of 190-pound linemen. They look like a 3A high school out there on the defensive line. And Pittsburgh's run game is physical. I think that's a good matchup against Dallas. And I just don't trust Dallas's offense against Pittsburgh's defense. Who's Dak going to throw to? If Pittsburgh is smart and pays extra attention to CeeDee Lamb, you telling me that you're going to try to have Brandon Cooks beat that defense? No, thank you. Give me Pittsburgh. My wild card total from college football, Service Academy unders, ladies and gentlemen. Navy at Air Force, 37 is the total. I will go under. Air Force is really bad. I'm a big Troy Calhoun fan.
Mm-hmm.
His team stinks.
Yeah, it's not real good. They lost all their offensive production from last year, and they're a really grim watch right now. Service Academy unders always a good bet historically.
Mm-hmm.
I had thought about laying 9.5 with Navy because Navy is good. In fact, the Army-Navy game this year, like the traditional one,
mm-hmm.
there's a non-zero chance that's the second time they play this year. They could play. They could play in the AAC championship game the week before and then play the Army-Navy game,
which is crazy.
That's
one word for it.
That's the nightmare scenario for the college football playoff. That is the one scenario they are desperately trying to avoid.
But yeah, both Army and Navy rock. They've got really good quarterbacks, and they're super fun. Service Academy football on the rise. That being said, when they play against each other, they don't score any points.
No.
So
take the under.
No, that's smart picks. Honestly, guys, I'm looking across the board. I think it's 5-0 for all of us. I got to tell you, I
hope so.
I got confidence in all of us. I do.
I hope I go 5-0, but you guys don't.
Well, if you go 5-0, Dan has to get at least
go 1-4.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you're going to go 5-0.
You know what? I hope you go on 5.
Yeah.
I probably will. I've not had good luck with any kind of picking or gambling so far this NFL season.
You're talking a lot. You're talking a lot of talk over there.
Okay, I will tell you this. I was doing really well through 3 college weeks and 2 NFL weeks. And then in the last 2 weeks, transmission ended.
Scene missing. Hey, it be like that sometimes. What are you going to do?
Honey, don't log into the Chase app.
Those are our Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk Picks Contest submissions for this week. Again, you can check those out on our website, 580wibw.com, and track our progress as we go through the season. Now with even more stats, you can see how we break down our wild card picks, our locks of the week. We are struggling on our locks of the week, which is kind of funny, like the picks we feel the best about. And it
happens.
Yeah. It
makes me feel worse about Green Bay on Sunday. I'll tell you that much.
Right. Anyway, we'll take a break here. We'll come back. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up next here on 580 Sports Talk. It is What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. Two brand new stories trying to win and take home the weekly crown for this first week of October. Going up against our current weekly champion, literally Rashi Rice's mom, who's being accused of swiping a package containing Chapel Roan records off her neighbor's porch just hours after her son got injured in the game against the Chargers. It was the same day. Apparently, we all cope and grieve in different ways.
Accused? She's on video. She's on video wearing her jersey that says Mama Rice. How dumb could that be?
It's not the smartest thing I've ever seen. It is a very readily identifiable jersey, because it's not like it's the Rashi Rice jersey. Like, yeah, okay, maybe you're just a really big Chiefs fan. No, it says Mama Rice. We've seen her in pictures at Chiefs games wearing that jersey, and she wore it to go do crime.
Unless someone stole it and wore it and then stole that to try to frame her because they hate the Rices so much.
Being framed. No, I tell you, if this if this is the tree, it explains a lot about the apple. Let's just say that in this case. Anyhow, literally Rashi Rice's mom, our current weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. Now let's get to today's stories. We have two Florida stories. Brendan, why don't you go first?
All right, my story in What Is Wrong With You today, if I can get this computer to load, it is taking us down to Tampa, Florida, where a suspected drunken woman who crashed into a barrier wall on Interstate 4 grabbed the junk of a Florida Highway Patrol trooper, and then, to add insult to injury, bit him in the leg. At 5:15 a.m., 25-year-old Tyshira Williams of Largo was traveling westbound on I-4, approaching I-275, when she lost control of her vehicle and crashed it into a barrier wall. Troopers said that Williams was impaired. Yeah, you don't say. And while she was being arrested, the woman resisted and had to be physically restrained. As officials tried to restrain her, she grabbed the trooper's genitals and then bit his leg. Williams was charged with resisting arrest with violence and DUI.
Ma'am, please. Not much to that story.
Nope. Got drunk, grabbed the dude's twig and berries, and then bit him. Right in the calf. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. I don't know that it was the calf, but I assume.
Drunken Largo Woman is my favorite Jimmy Buffett song.
I'm trying to come up with a lyric to fit that. We'll workshop that.
Yeah, go ahead and think on that. Meanwhile, we'll go to my story. It is also a Florida story. It is the slowest chase in FCSO history. That's the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. Bunnell, Florida. A man is in custody after leading law enforcement on a slow chase in Bunnell following a hit and run. 33-year-old Kyle McNary is accused of kicking the passenger out of a black Kia Sorento he was driving near the intersection of East Woodland Street and State Road 100. According to a press release, the victim stated McNary drive faster than 15 to 20 miles an hour, and they stopped to switch places so the victim could drive. McNary then ran into the street and started waving at cars passing by before he was placed in the passenger seat. However, as the victim was getting in the driver's seat, McNary kicked him out and drove off. Deputies said McNary drove to the intersection of US 1 and Otis Stonehunter Road, where he was involved in a hit and run. The victim of that crash told deputies the SUV McNary was driving came to a complete stop in front of the vehicle she was riding in without giving the driver enough time to stop. FCSO found McNary using stop sticks on the slow-moving vehicle, which is a very funny idea, and issued commands on their public address system, which he ignored. Deputies said he made several U-turns and eventually landed in a ditch. In driving rain, 3 deputies approached the SUV and shattered a rear window. McNary complied with orders and exited the vehicle, walking toward the deputies with his hands up, and then laid on the ground to be placed in handcuffs. He's been charged with a lot of things. So,
how bad?
Yeah, he wouldn't drive faster than 15 to 20 miles an hour at first. And then, allegedly, the police chase saw McNary going no faster than 2 to 3 miles per hour. Which reminds me of a Simpsons bit. He's very slowly getting away, Chief.
Oh, my gosh. That's funny.
So those are our stories today. We have the slowest police chase in Bunnell history, and we have the woman who grabbed a cop's junk and bit him.
I would like to offer in an amendment to my original story.
Okay.
To the tune of it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Largo woman bit cop.
Because it was clearly 5 o'clock for her.
Yep.
Every hour.
In fact,
down at her watch.
5:15 in the morning.
Yeah. literally 5 o'clock. That's a 5 o'clock.
Didn't say AM or PM.
Yeah. So those are our stories today. Spencer, as the neutral party, what story do you like best today?
It's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere, lady.
Why'd she bite him?
Yeah, come on.
That's a tough day for that trooper, man.
Yeah.
Like 5:15 in the morning, and that happens to
Is
you.
he just starting his shift, or is he about to get off his shift? That's
I bet
the
he's
question.
about to end his shift.
Yeah.
I bet he
so.
was done at 6.
Listen,
I hope so
listen,
too. I hope he didn't start his shift with that.
Listen, if somebody grabs my nuts and bites my leg, my shift is over after that, regardless.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm going home.
That is correct.
You all are going to have to cover for me. I'm done. So that's my winner today too. Does that beat?
Let's make it a clean sweep.
Does that literally beat Rashi Rice's mom?
No, you can't, man.
She wore. It would be one thing if she just wore her son's jersey.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I wonder who that is. Nah, she wore like her own personalized version of her son's jersey.
Custom fit, custom made Mama Rice.
At that point, she should have just looked into the Ring camera and displayed 2 forms of government ID and like a light bill to prove her address. All for some. Do you think she likes Chapel Roan? Do you think the Rice family gets down to hot to go?
I bet. That'd be sick, though. Imagine if the cop showed up at her door.
A-R-R-E-S-T. Arrested is Rice's mom.
All right. We don't have a Weird Al Yankovic in this bunch. That much is readily apparent.
I appreciate the effort, though.
Yeah, you think that's...
Hey, come on. I tried.
Maybe that's what Rashi was listening to. He just...
Maybe.
The climax of Good Luck, Babe. You can't help but stand on the accelerator.
Yeah.
Even in, full traffic in downtown Dallas. Anyway, yeah, I kind of think that she has to advance. So our first weekly winner of the month of October is literally Rashi Rice's mom on What Is Wrong
I feel like
With
she
You.
could be a contender for winner of the year.
Absolutely.
Just
Absolutely.
for the pure fact of this Rashi Rice's
I mean, look, Chiefsaholic was a finalist 2 years ago.
That's
so,
true.
Yes, we no stranger to having Chiefs.
Chiefsaholic.
Just
Chiefs
another
super
Chiefs
fan.
season, folks.
Yeah.
Right. Never boring. The Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to take a break here at 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, it's the last chance for KU to get their football season back on track. We'll talk about that, other Big 12 and weekend football action on the other side of this break on 580 Sports Talk.
start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GAME to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GAME for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code GAME for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
You feel hot. Dayquil Kids will take care of that. Dayquil Kids has that covered. Yes, that's it. Yeah, Dayquil Kids is your favorite
short throat fever just for kids medicine. Save your kids $6. Use it directly.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America NA.
WIBW, Topeka.
.440 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer hanging out with you. There's the three of us for the final 20 minutes, and Spencer's got you the rest of the way. We're going to get set up for some high school football tonight. Topeka High, Washburn Rural, our Lewis Toyota 580 Preps game of the week. Pre-game starting at 6 with the 580 Preps Coaches Club, taking it to the kickoff at 7 at Hummer Sports Park. K-State off this Saturday. KU is not, and there's no coming back from a loss this time for Kansas. If they lose on Saturday, you can forget about a bowl game, and you really have to start thinking about maybe 2025 and beyond, which is an amazing thing to consider given how many seniors, how many veterans are on this team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a fact of life when you get to 1-5 that you have to start prioritizing the future of the program instead of a no longer promising present. But
if you're 1-5, it's hard to see 5-1.
Right. But maybe, just maybe, the door's ajar if they can go win in Tempe. Because the way it sets up is you win this one and you win the next one, which is at home against Houston, who has not scored yet in Big 12 play.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, you're 2-2 in the league, and that doesn't feel so bad. And then you've got the Sunflower Showdown, and look, hey, you're not going to be favored in that game, and they haven't won it in a dog's age, but you'll be up for that game at the very least. You'll have,
you would hope.
Yes, you will have an opportunity to turn your season around and write a different story. But none of that is the case if you lose in Tempe. And right now, KU is 2.5-point underdog. I still look at the rosters man for man and feel like KU's probably got more talent, but that hasn't mattered the last 4 weeks. What's going to make it matter this week is the big question. What's going to make this be the week that KU executes for 4 quarters, doesn't commit the backbreaking turnover, doesn't commit the backbreaking penalty, doesn't fail to finish off a game in the fourth quarter? I think all of those things are still in this team, but it gets harder to believe every passing week, and belief is gone if they don't win this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know that it's there really all that strongly anyway. Lance Leipold usually goes anywhere between about 15 and 18 minutes during his weekly press conference on Wednesday afternoons, formerly Mondays. He went all of 7 minutes this week, like half or less the amount of time that he normally goes. Like that, it's bad, man. I mean, things just do not feel good with that program right now, which is, again, unfortunate given the composition of the roster, all the expectations going into this year, etc. Now, this game, yet again, is winnable. KU is a better roster and I think better coaching than Arizona State does. That has not meant anything so far this season because KU is still looking for its first win against an FBS team. It was like the Beatty years all over again.
Yeah, like you look at their point differential, they're plus 21 on the season. And like that feels good, but like, okay, where'd they get all that plus against? Oh, right, Lindenwood.
A team that 3 years ago was in Division II. Yeah, exactly. So there's a couple things that stand out in terms of, keys to the game. One, defensively, there's one guy that you need to stop. You absolutely must stop Cam Scadaboo. Easier said than done. He is a very good player. Really dang good. Top 5 in pretty much every rushing category in the Big 12 so far this year. I like KU's defensive matchup against the Arizona State passing game. Look, famous last words, sure, old takes exposed, whatever. I'm not really worried about Sam Levitt. And maybe they find a way to make the passing game work. Sam Levitt himself does not particularly scare me. I like the thought of KU's defensive backs against that passing game and the pass rush decently enough against that passing game as well. Scadaboo is the guy because he can be the guy who takes over a game. We've seen it over the course of his career already. KU is down its best linebacker. Cornell Wheeler, still injured. He's not going to play this weekend. Taiwan Berryhill has been filling in. Taiwan's been with the program for a while. Appreciate his commitment to KU. This stats from Derrick Johnson at the Locked On Jayhawks podcast. Right now, there are 41 qualified linebackers in the Big 12. Qualified, if you don't know what that means, you've played a certain number of games, you've played a certain number of snaps so far. Ranks 39th out of 41. You want to be closer to 1 than to 41, guys.
Right.
Not good. He was 50 out of 50 last week, by the way. So improved slightly a little bit. It's not looking good there. He's got to be better. That whole linebacker core has got to be better. They've got to find a way to slow down Scadaboo. Offensively, you need Daniels to be somewhere between competent and decent if you're KU. And I break that down into 2 factors. 1, take care of the ball. And 2, can you make what I would call winning plays 4 to 6 times? Like, we're talking a 3rd and 10 conversion. We're talking about finishing off a 2-minute drill in the end of the first half and getting points out of it and making a throw or making the right read on an option to convert and move the sticks on an important drive. That's the kind of thing I'm looking for here from Jalen Daniels. If he can accomplish those things, I like KU's chances. That has been the big concern. There haven't been enough of those winning plays. There haven't been the ball security measures that you need to have to win in Big 12 play. Arizona State's actually pretty good against the run defensively.
Yeah, they are.
They rank 4th in the country in tracer, that metric I was telling you about earlier, and they're 2nd in just pure straight up yards allowed. They're good against the run. So you can't necessarily just bank on Devin Neal and Daniel Highshaw being unstoppable and carrying you to a win. You've got to have some production from Daniels in this game.
Yeah, it's got to be his best game. No question.
Mm-hmm.
And ball security is going to be vital. And again, it feels like we've seen, wasn't that long ago, it was last year. We saw a lot of these guys make winning plays, win football games. It's been strange then to see them not able to do that this year. And now it does become a matter of confidence as much as it becomes a matter of anything else tangible.
If Jalen Daniels, excuse me.
I understand the confusion.
Understandable.
If they lose and he has a bad game, if you're KU, do you think about pulling the plug?
Okay, I'm going to put words in people's mouths here, so pardon me. I would have to imagine, though, the thought has at least crossed the mind of the decision makers. Not that it's a serious, we got to do this at some point. Just, man, what if? Well, what if we saw what Zeke has? What if we see what Cole looks like year 2 versus year 1?
They know better than us.
Yes.
What the vibe is in that locker room. Like,
yes,
we can see on the field, it doesn't feel great, but we have no idea how behind Jalen Daniels the rest of that room is. By all accounts, he's very respected in that locker room. But then,
100%.
again, those are the accounts that we have. We haven't seen what changes might have occurred in the last 4 weeks or what may occur if they go to Tempe and get beat. And there may be an appetite to see what else somebody has, even from the guys that share the huddle right now with Jalen Daniels. So again, that is, I am really covering my butt with speculation there. Like, I'm not giving you anything. I don't have anything insidery, but
no. Yeah, I was just posing the question because obviously KU fans have thought about it.
Yeah, like we were getting texts last week before the TCU game. Like, hey, did they need to think about doing this? And
I will say, Spencer, I'm going to go no. I think nothing would even be strongly considered until
after the showdown.
I think until a bowl is out of the question.
Okay.
Like, I think once you get to 7 losses, I think that's when you pull the plug. Or at least it becomes a very real possibility.
Well, if they lose at Tempe, showdown might be loss number 7.
It very well could be.
The rest of the Big 12 this weekend, again, K-State is off. They got Colorado next Saturday. I'm looking forward to previewing that game because it's all of a sudden very fascinating because CU feels like a normal football team with the best player in America, more so than just like a clown car with no kind of offensive line. So that'll be interesting to talk about next week. But for this week, there is Big 12 football tonight on ESPN. Houston is at TCU. TCU is favored by 17 points. Again, Houston has 0 points against Big 12 competition this year. TCU's defense is pretty stinky, so I don't expect them to shut Houston out, but I kind of like that under 51.5. I'll tell you that right now.
I think that's fair.
Other games, I think there are 2 that really stand out this week in the league. West Virginia at Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy, I talked about this with Paul Meyerberg yesterday. Mike Gundy's teams are always not good until they are. It just, they flip a switch and all of a sudden it makes sense for them. And I still feel like That's in Oklahoma State. They've got too much offensive talent. They should be better than they are right now. They're 3-point favorites at home against West Virginia. I think Oklahoma State wins big. Like I'm fairly confident that the Cowboys are able to put it together against the Mountaineers.
That's a surprising amount of respect to West Virginia. Like, what have they done to deserve it, frankly?
That's
Beat a bad KU team? That's
their signature performance right now. And we know a lot more about KU after the TCU game than we did before going into that game. And it looks a little funnier in the light. That being said, Oklahoma State was largely non-competitive against the two best teams in the league.
The game that to me stands out as probably in all of college football this year, the number one bragging rights, we won't shut up about this win ever game. That might be at the Swamp down in Gainesville, Florida. The Florida Gators, not good, are hosting UCF. And if the Knights win that game, I'm not sure that the Florida Gators will ever stop hearing about it. Because all the years of being kept out of, kept away from the adults table at Thanksgiving, all the years of being told, no, you're just directional Florida. Now, all of a sudden, UCF's in one of those big conferences. And all of a sudden, Billy Napier looks like he might need to get Indeed fired up. And UCF, they got to go on the road to Gainesville. I think they are going to play with their hair on fire in that game. Honestly, makes me feel like last week might have been a look-ahead spot, to be completely honest with you,
that's
against Colorado.
And that's another thing. Again, we'll get to the Colorado next week, but that's another thing that's been fascinating, the dynamic in the conference so far, is that, like, last year in the Pac-12, Colorado felt like everybody's Super Bowl, and I don't they are not that in the Big 12 this year. I don't think K-State's going into next week thinking this is our season, this is our chance to put ourselves on the map. No. I don't think UCF had that attitude about them last week, and I don't think Baylor did in week one. It's just an interesting dynamic. Anyway, UCF is only favored by 1.5. I think they're going to win that game. I think they have more talent. And like I know they lost by 27 last week, but they turned over 4 times. Yeah. One of those was directly a defensive touchdown. And you know what Florida doesn't have? Travis Hunter.
No, they do not.
You could smash their best wide receiver and corner into each other, and they would not be a Travis Hunter. Texas Tech, Arizona is a fun one too. I think
Thank God for that game. There's only 2 games in the whole country this weekend that kick off after 7 Central.
That's wild.
Yeah, so thank God for Arizona, Texas Tech.
Be a big audience for that one. Arizona's coming off a good win at BYU. Texas Tech is kind of an iffy 4-1. Arizona's favored in that game by 6.5 points.
6.5 at home. Yeah, I'll take Arizona.
I'm leaning Arizona. I'm leaning Arizona.
They've got the 2 best players again.
They do. Yeah.
If you're just talking our dudes versus your dudes, they have the 2 best dudes.
And it feels like they should have more offensively because of those 2 dudes. But I'll tell you what, man, Noah Fafita grew up in Salt Lake City last Saturday. Made some big hair on your chest throws.
Real quick, around the rest of college football, any games that tickle your fancy this weekend?
It's not a great weekend, but Mizzou,
a lot of bye weeks.
Mizzou, Texas A&M, which, by the way, you'll be able to hear right here on 580 WIBW from the Compass Media Networks. Mizzou, Texas A&M is interesting because Mizzou's 4-0 and they're top 10, but they're not like playing like a top 10 team yet.
Yeah.
This would be the week for them to start looking the part of an SEC contender.
I love Service Academy games, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Yes, sir.
Also, big profile teams, so they don't really fit the dumpster juice pick of the week criteria. There's a chance Michigan and Washington set football back 40 years. That game might be horrible.
Washington is apparently really good or stepping on every rake. There's no difference. Like, there's no distinction. They are really good until they are abruptly stepping in a rake and bashing themselves in the face. I have no idea what Michigan is. Like, they don't have a quarterback.
Fielding Yost would love them.
It's going to be a fun weekend of college football, no doubt about it. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and do a little on second thought to wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk. On second thought, home field advantage doesn't mean anything in these Major League Baseball playoffs ever since the wild card round got initiated. It sure seems like the home teams have never won more of the wild card series than the away teams have in the 3 years we've been doing this. And I picked all home teams. And I was wrong. I was 1-3 picking those series. And home field advantage. What does it really mean anymore?
My on second thought for this week, I was talking a lot of trash when I was up by a lot of picks in our Prairie Band Sportsbook picks contest, and now I have gone 3-7 in our last 10.
I am breathing down your neck, pal.
A lot of time left, though. Whole lot of ball games.
A lot of season left.
That was also going to be my on second thought. I really thought I aced last weekend. Like during the weekend, I thought I did really well. I even texted about it.
You did. You texted us like, I'm going to go 4-1 this week. Like, how is that possible, Spencer?
I really thought. And then the Texans really screwed me over, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly.
Hey, you and I can join a support group. I'm still upset about them not covering against the Bears in week 2. I still don't know how that happened. I'm still upset.
Yeah.
Now, that's gambling for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's going to wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk. Me and Brendan and I are headed elsewhere. Apologies to the English teachers out there. Yeah, so Spencer's got you the rest of the way. He'll play my conversation from earlier this week with Kansas Sports Hall of Fame Executive Director Richard Konzem. He's also got a full slate of headlines, some injury reports from the NFL, and a bunch of other good stuff. And whatever else Spencer comes up with, we look forward to having him for that final hour before we turn it over to high school football. That's all coming up. Stay tuned here on 580 Sports Talk.
Final hour of 580 Sports Talk here for your Friday. Thank God it's Friday. We've got one more hour left of the program before we get you out to high school football. We'll start with the Coaches Club beginning at 6 o'clock, and then we'll send it out to Humber Sports Park, where I'll be on the sidelines tonight. It'll be Dan Lucero in the booth along with Greg Akagi. Has got some local action coming up for you. Washburn Rural travels to Humber Sports Park to take on Topeka High. A 4-0 Topeka High team should be a good matchup tonight. But youngest in charge movement here for the final hour of this edition of 580 Sports Talk. And whenever it's just solo, I like to do Ask Me Anything. We'll do that in the third segment. You can submit the questions on our YouTube live chat, or you can send them in via the text line. That's 785-272-9429. Again, the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429. Ask Me Anything. I'll be answering any questions for you that you might have, sports related, not sports related. Just shoot the messages in here for the third segment coming up past the bottom of the hour around 5:45. We'll do that segment. Weekend, not a heavy sports weekend on tap as we normally do, with K-State being off and this just being the start of the ALDS, and just one game over the weekend that we'll have that tomorrow night on our airways, 5 p.m. pregame, 5:38 first pitch, as the Royals are in the Bronx taking on the Yankees in what's a very big series, obviously, because of the history that they have in the playoffs, right? These two teams in the playoffs, not necessarily recent playoffs, obviously, but back in the 70s and 80s with George Brett and the gang. But yeah, no Kansas City Chiefs football. That'll be Monday night, along with game 2 of the ALDS. So you're going to have to two-screen it Monday night. I'll be two-screening it for sure. I'll be going back and forth on the audio like we joked about on the show the other day. But KU tomorrow night in Tempe, as we just previewed at the end of that hour, taking on Arizona State. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff. That'll be on ESPN2. So very small sports weekend compared to what we've had of recent, where we had big Royals 3-game sets on the weekend, the Chiefs on Sundays, and KU and K-State on the weekend. Obviously that won't be happening this weekend. It'll just be KU tomorrow night. And obviously things have changed when it comes to the where you want K-State or KU to be. So things are different there, but it's the youngest in charge movement here. Spencer Flew with you. Brendan Dorzinski out to cover some Washburn volleyball for the MIAA network. And then Dan Lucero on his way to Humber Sports Park to get set up for tonight's 580 Preps game of the week, brought to you by Lewis Toyota, as Washburn Rural heads to Humber Sports Park to take on Topeka High. But let's get into it here. We'll start first in headlines. We have a participation report, injury report for the Chiefs. It's really day 2 of the weekly practices. They were obviously in the building on Wednesday, but did not have a full practice, nor was it open to the media as they play on Monday. So everything gets shifted around. They'll have their walkthrough tomorrow with the game Monday night. Interesting injury report news. So we'll go through the injury report here for the Chiefs. Nick Bolton got a hamstring, but he's practiced fully. Mike Dana, calf. He obviously missed last week's game. He's been limited both days. Kareem Hunt appeared on the injury report with a shoulder, limited both days. And that's something that you're probably going to expect with a guy who's been out of football as long as he has, and, just getting back into game action this past weekend. So maybe he'll be limited a bit. Maybe they'll go more with Carson Steele, but obviously it'll be ride the hot hand as we go through the game Monday night. But there's still a few days until Monday, so we'll see what Kareem Hunt is like when it comes to his actual status for the game, which won't be out until tomorrow afternoon. The biggest concern on this injury report is clearly McCole Hardman with the Rashee Rice injury. Rashee Rice placed on IR. We'll know more next week about the injury. He's out at least 4 games when he's placed on the IR. But McCole Hardman has a knee injury. He was limited in practice yesterday, but he did not practice today. So that is not good. We talked about Derrick earlier, and he said that just puts them in a bad situation where they're going to have to bring up 2 receivers from the practice squad, Justin Watson being one of them. But you're going to need somebody else because McCole Hardman, obviously your return man, and he's going to have to step up with the absence of Rashee Rice. So that's very concerning as the DNP for today. Derrick Nottie, full practice both days with a triceps injury, just listed on there, obviously, as an injury because it's the reporting of injuries. He practiced fully by triceps, it's not going to affect him in how he plays the game. So barring something happening, Derrick Nottie's going to be on the field Monday night. But yesterday, the Chiefs officially activated the practice window for Clyde Edwards-Helaire off of the non-football injury list as he was on there with mental health issues, and he was limited in practice in both days. And I think that's just getting him acclimated to a practice. You're not going to have somebody who hasn't really practiced much at training camp, just go full-fledged. They opened up the 21-day window. They'll have 21 days to activate him. If they don't activate him, then he won't be able to play at all this season. But they've kept the roster. Matt Derrick noted this on Twitter. They made a roster move today, and that was signing tight end Jody Fortson, who they re-signed to the practice squad earlier last week. But they, in fact, signed him to the active roster. So there's now 52 players on that roster. We've been talking about for weeks that there's always 52 members on that roster, right? Well, he puts in his tweet 3 hours ago. It's at Matt Derrick on Twitter, our Chiefs Insider from ChiefsDigest.com. That leaves the Chiefs with 1 spot on the 53-player roster. That's presumably reserved for Clyde Edwards-Helaire whenever he is ready to go. So they've been reserving that really from the start after Hollywood Brown had to go out there. Like, we've got enough guys because you can elevate a guy for game day if you have to. So obviously there's a kicker there, but they did make a move by signing tight end Jody Fortson from the practice squad to the active roster. And because they had an open practice squad roster, they signed corner Darius Rush to the practice squad. We do have an injury report for the Saints, a very lengthy injury report, as there won't probably be a former Chiefs player on the field on Monday, as unfortunately linebacker Willie Gay listed at the top of this injury report. He has not practiced today or yesterday with a hand injury. The linebacker who signed with the Saints in the offseason, formerly of the Chiefs after winning the Super Bowl. Taysom Hill out most likely again with ribs, as he didn't practice both days. And then Cesar Ruiz, center and guard, out with a knee, hasn't practiced with a knee injury. Shane Lemieux, center guard, also with an ankle injury. He has not practiced yet this week. Defensive end Peyton Turner with knee injury hasn't practiced this week. They did get an optimistic from their kicker, Blake Groupie. He has a right hip injury. He didn't practice yesterday, but he was full today, so they're likely going to be with their kicker this week. But then a bunch of limiteds in practice. Oh, we got one more do not practice. That was a new to the injury report today. Offensive lineman Lucas Patrick with a groin injury did not participate today. And then the limited in practices will start here. Linebacker Demario Davis, so another linebacker with a hamstring injury, limited both days. Tackle Talisi Fugaga, back and knee injury, he was limited. Alvin Kamara, he was injured or limited with a hip and rib injuries. If it's Alvin Kamara, he'll probably go, barring the rib injury being bad. Juwan Johnson, the tight end, forearm injury. He was limited yesterday, but returned fully today. Defensive tackle Brian Brissy, ankle injury, limited both days. And then these next 3 guys Keandre Miller, running back. He was limited yesterday with a hamstring, practice fully today. And Chris Olave and Cedric Wilson Jr., the two receivers, Olave dealing with a hamstring injury and Cedric Wilson dealing with ankle, both practiced fully this week. So clearly a lot more injuries to the Saints team than to the Chiefs that are on the injury report. Obviously, there's big absences for the Chiefs, including Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, and Isaiah Pacheco. But it looks like guys on the active roster, it's really just McCall Hardman who you're concerned with. Mike Dana maybe getting to play again this week, and how bad Kareem Hunt's shoulder is, we'll find out soon. But it appears injuries are going to be a problem for the Saints when it comes to Monday night for Monday Night Football. Let's get into our next headline. There is a new manager in the majors. Former Guardians manager Terry Francona, who retired last year, is coming out of retirement as he signed a 3-year contract to be the Reds manager with a club option for a 4th season. Obviously, that comes after he retired last year after his 23rd season as an MLB manager. 65, he's taken over that young, talented Reds team that obviously didn't do a lot this year, right? They didn't do a lot. They were expected to do a lot. They didn't do a lot. You got obviously Ellie De La Cruz on there. Jonathan India is another player that's big on there. Maybe he can be, and Hunter Green is what the pitching staff's headlined by Hunter Green. That's a big one. Like, if Terry Francona can do what he's done over his career, then he could turn around the Reds, right? The Reds could be a perennial playoff team if Terry Francona can do what he's done to the teams that he's managed to the Reds. They could be a perennial playoff team. Some other news going on here as the NFLPA is trying to get this issue to be bigger here, as they put out a statement, the executive committee, regarding locker room media policy. Over the last 3 years, the NFLPA has tried to work with the NFL and Pro Football Writers of America to move media interviews out of the locker rooms. However, there has been little willingness to collaborate on a new solution. Players feel that the locker room interviews invade their privacy and are uncomfortable. This isn't about limiting media access, but about respecting players' privacy and dignity. The NFL's current media policy is outdated. We, quote, the NFLPA Executive Committee, urge the NFL to make immediate changes to foster a more respectful and safer workplace for all players. In the meantime, we encourage each player to ask for interviews outside of the locker room during the week. This is huge. Obviously, players want the locker room to be players, right? It's the locker room, the clubhouse. Like, we all know, like, yeah, you get interviewed at your locker, right? But like the players, it's like, will you go into, I guess, like, it's not somebody's office necessarily, but I guess like your house. Like, if you were coming to interview somebody, would you go into your house in your bedroom and interview somebody? Not that they don't sleep in the locker room, obviously, but like they get dressed, they change. Like, it is the players' sanctuary per se. And that's what the NFLPA is trying to point out here, is they want change. We do have a lot of injury news across the land of the NFL. Devin Singletary is doubtful. Malik Neighbors out for the Giants. Obviously, that's big blows, and big blow to my fantasy team with Devin Singletary. Packers wide receivers Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs are doubtful versus the Rams, who won't have Cooper Kupp, so receiver on receiver drama there with players out. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson questionable, with Joe Flacco taking first team reps at practice again. Joe Flacco, the savior for the Colts, maybe here. What he did at the end of that game was pretty remarkable. So we'll see how things go there. He's officially listed as questionable. Devontae Adams and Zamir White are out for the Raiders. The Raiders are just in a bad spot right now, right? You see the way everything's going with the trade rumors and things like that, and then now he's out, right, for Devontae Adams. That's not a great look for Adams. So hopefully we know where he is going to be playing. But some NLDS injury news. Joe Musgrove needs Tommy John surgery. He won't pitch for the Padres in the NL Divisional Series against the Dodgers. The right-hander has a UCL injury. The Padres president of baseball ops, AJ Preller, said Friday he left Game 2 of the NL Wildcard Series with elbow tightness. That's a big loss for the Padres. But they'll start right-hander Dylan Cease in Game 1, followed by righty Yu Darvish. So guess what? They do have two other guys that are capable of being great pitchers. So it could be a change. Also, tonight begins the start of a new season, I believe the this NHL season does not start tonight. There's preseason action tonight that starts, there's just preseason action tonight. I believe that starts next Monday or Tuesday. Next Tuesday the NHL season starts, a triple header going to be on ESPN, including the new Utah Hockey Club. We'll get into that next week. But we'll see how things progress with the injury front in the NFL. Coleman Hawkins, who is a Kansas State Wildcat, he is starting a new podcast. He has a lot to say, and he's got a place to say this according to the Field of 68. So he's partnered with the Field of 68. The podcast name will be Every Pod a Wildcat, a Kansas State basketball podcast. And it's going to come out next Tuesday with Coleman Hawkins as the host. That'll be pretty cool. I think it'll be pretty cool to hear a player's taking a podcast. I'm assuming this is some sort of NIL deal. So we'll see how that not impacts the season, but how it goes during the season. Because you can obviously do podcasts, but how's it going to interfere with the season for the Kansas State Wildcats on the court side of things? So that's where I'm interested to see how much of a distraction is a podcast to a player. But I mean, again, you see all these the radio network coaches shows and things like that. So, not necessarily going to be a difference there. How about this? We will step aside for our first break of the hour. When we come back, we'll hear Dan Lucera's interview with Richard Konzem, the executive director of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, with the Hall of Fame induction coming up here in Topeka in a few weeks. That's next on 580 Sports Talk right here on 580 WIBW.
Supplements in Scandinavia. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or your local Walgreens, Rite Aid, or CVS. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Help your hair look full, voluminous, and beautiful again at newnordicusa.com, Walgreens, Rite Aid, or CVS.
Keeping you connected to what's important with internet, telephone, and streaming TV.
Where would we be without connectivity? That's big. That's huge. That's Giant Communications. The latest technology combined with responsive, personalized customer service.
Keeping you connected to what
you feel like that.
That's big. That's huge. That's Giant.
$250 implement bonus and save with cash discounts over $6,000. Offer ends October 25th, 2024. Some restrictions apply. See Prairie Land Partners for details.
Prairie Land Partners.
Bentley, you want to go on a Viking cruise? This is Tim from Cruise Holidays of Topeka. Join us for an exclusive happy hour event and discover the art of travel with Viking Cruises, Tuesday, October 22nd at 5:30. With meticulous curated itineraries designed to inspire, you'll find the perfect voyage aboard Viking's award-winning fleet. Let us help you plan an unforgettable journey with Viking Cruises. Call Cruise Holidays of Topeka to register.
For more than 60 years, as an automotive leader, doing things the Laird Noller way means good people taking care of good people. Now Laird Noller is the ultimate hub for RV enthusiasts too. They're your go-to solution for all things RV related. Laird Noller RV Super Center for the best of the best brands from Keystone. Laird Noller RV Service and Laird Noller RV Body and Paint to keep any make and model running and looking great. Elevate your RV experience with Laird Noller RV.
Feel the rush at Thunder over the Heartland Air Show, presented by Corpers Bank and Trust, coming to Topeka, Kansas, October 11th through the 13th. Watch in awe as the U.S. Air Force Thunderbird and C-130 Hercules light up the sky and be amazed by the Titan aerobatic team. The team fast-track parachutists witness Brian Correll in his Pitts S2S and stay for the electrifying night show with Nathan Hand featuring a dazzling fireworks finale. Don't miss this sky-high adventure. Get your tickets now at thunderairshow.com.
WIBW Topeka.
Welcome back to 580 Sports Talk. 527 here on your Friday. Youngest in charge movement coming at you. Spencer Dupuis here. Dan Lucero. Lucero has left to get ready for high school football, but he leaves us with a parting shot here as earlier this week, he caught up with the president for the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, Richard Konzem, and he talked to him about the upcoming Hall of Fame induction. Here's his interview.
Dan Lucero from 580 Sports Talk and 580 WIBW, joined by the executive director of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, Richard Konzem. The Kansas Sports Hall of Fame holding their induction ceremony at the Hotel Topeka on Sunday, October 13th. And Richard is the newly appointed executive director of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, but certainly not new to the inner workings of the Hall of Fame, having served previously on the board of directors. When you were approached, Richard, about becoming the executive director, how long did it take you to feel like that was going to be a good fit for you?
Well, no time at all, and thanks for having me. Yes, I had a pretty good history with the Hall, back in the 90s and the 2000s, primarily when I was working at the University of Kansas in the athletic department. And then a few years ago, I had the chance to go back on the board, and we were without an executive director, and we needed to get geared back up again a little bit. And so the opportunity when discussions came about, and the impetus actually was moving the event from Wichita to Topeka because that seemed to fit where this year's class had most of their connections. And I don't think we've had an induction in Topeka since 1996 was the last one. And I think that was at the Rotunda of the Capitol. So new opportunity, and with the induction ceremony coming off and having a lot of momentum there in Topeka, decided it was a good time to go ahead and take that director role, and let's get us going.
So it will be the induction ceremony that is held in Topeka, again, at the Hotel Topeka. And if people are interested in purchasing tickets to the event, they can do so at the website kshof.org. What can people expect from the induction ceremony? There are 12 inductees that are going to be honored, and I believe, Richard, the plan is to have all 12 of them, in attendance.
Yeah, that's correct. We asked the inductees, in order to be inducted, you need to attend our event. A couple are holdovers from previous years when they were nominated and elected, but they weren't able to attend the event. So that's why we ended up with 12 this year instead of our normal 10. So we're not going to do the traditional banquet, sit around tables, have the speeches. We're going to do much more like the College Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony, where we have a reception with a lot of food stations and high top tables, and we want it to be a mix and mingle event. So we'll introduce the inductees on the red carpet at the beginning of the reception. They'll come in, they'll have some designated tables where they're kind of headquartered, and we want people to be able to mix and mingle and talk to them. And again, there's plenty of food. We set up a lot of food stations. And then after that'll start at 5, and then about 6:15, we'll go to the other half of the ballroom there at the Sunflower Ballroom at Hotel Topeka. And we've got it set up theater style with a stage. And then we're going to do an interview format with each of the inductees. Rather than somebody get up and give a speech, we want them to tell their story a little bit. And so Gerard Wellbrock, who's on our board and is the voice of Fort Hays State Tigers, will do an interview with each of the inductees.
Oh, that's awesome. I know Gerard pretty well, and I know he'll do a terrific job, no doubt, in that role. You also mentioned that there are Topeka ties or ties to this area for a lot of the inductees. You have 6 of them that have University of Kansas ties, and one of those, certainly the most notable, perhaps, ties to Topeka is the former Hayden standout and, of course, longtime men's basketball coach Mark Turgeon, and I'm sure it will be special to have him get to celebrate his induction in his hometown.
It will be very special, and I was really fortunate. I knew Mark when he played at Kansas, and I got to talk to him last week and go through all the activities and events, and he is so excited. He bought 30 tickets to accommodate his friends and family. He's got his entire Hayden teammates coming from their 2 state championships. Mark was also the head coach at Wichita State, so he touches a lot of bases as far as the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, with being from Topeka, winning state championships at Hayden, of course, a great playing career at Kansas, assistant coach at Kansas, and then the head coach at Wichita State. So, yeah, he's looking forward to it as about as excited as anybody that I've talked to. You've got Annette Wiles, who was our one little bit of an outlier as far as KU or K-State or having a Topeka tie, because she grew up in Hunter, Kansas, and played at Fort Hays State. But now she's the head of facilities at Hummer Park for USD 501. So, again, a great Topeka connection. It's a little bit of an Olympic theme this year because this was an Olympic year, and so we've got multiple Olympians that are being inducted. And one of the more unusual and great stories is Kelly Rankin. And Kelly is from Clay Center. And Kelly was a starter for track and field and did that for, his entire career. And interestingly, Kelly is the only American to have been the head starter at 2 Olympic Games. And again, talk to him. He couldn't be more thrilled. He's got grown children that are coming back, and they're going to be in Topeka, and they're going to go back and visit things their places in Clay Center. And again, these people are so excited about this recognition, and we're excited to be able to tell their story to try to inspire other Kansans as to what it meant to be grow up in Kansas and be a sports legend here.
And that's the great thing about this, is we're speaking with Richard Konzem, executive director of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, is that you do have recognizable names. I mean, you don't have to be maybe the most diehard sports fan that there's ever been to remember Mark Mangino and what he did as the head coach at KU, or to know about Will Shields and his career with the Chiefs, or Sean Snyder and what he did both as a player and as a longtime coach at Kansas State, now a coach in other places. But it's also recognizing those other contributors, those athletes in Olympic sports, or those coaches at the Division II levels or lower, that have all sort of combined to paint the picture and tell the story of Kansas sports, because Kansas sports, of course, goes beyond just what we see in the professional and the major college ranks.
Oh, absolutely correct. And I was just looking at this morning at the high school classification breakdown, and you've got people that are in our Hall of Fame, and, we're associated with Wichita East High School. And there's 2,500 students at Wichita East High School. And then when you get to the lower ranks, you've got schools that are less than 100. And so everybody has a different story. And it tells you that, whether you're, Ron Nugent and you came from Wichita East, or whether you came from Clay Center or Hunter, Kansas, and went to Sylvan Grove, there's a pathway to fulfill your dreams and to have great accomplishments and, win national championships, be on the stage at the Olympic Games. And that's the kind of stories we like to tell.
And there will be lots of great ones told again at the induction ceremony at the Hotel Topeka. That is October 13th. Richard, can you tell people how they can buy tickets, how they can get involved, and maybe a brief overview of, again, that schedule of events for people who will maybe be in attendance?
Yes, the tickets are available on our website, which again is kshof.org. And you buy however many tickets you want for the people coming. We're not selling tables because, again, at 5 o'clock, when it begins, we will have a red carpet ceremony where the inductees will walk into the reception room there at the Sunflower Ballroom. We've got a lot of high top tables, some round tables. We got a lot of food stations and bars set up. And we want that reception to be a mix and mingle. So you're not just locked into seated at a particular table where you were assigned. We want everybody to interact. And then at 6:15, we will move to the other side, to the other half of the Sunflower Ballroom, where we've got it set up theater style, and we'll have a stage with the interviews of each of these inductees. And on top of that, this year, we're really thrilled. We made a great outreach effort with our former inductees, and we've got 13 former inductees coming back to share in with this event with the new class. So we're really excited about that and hope to engage. It won't just be this year's class, but people from other classes too.
It will be a banner night for sports in the state of Kansas, as it always is when new inductees are honored into the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. And this year it comes back to Topeka at the Hotel Topeka on October 13th. That is a Sunday. That is an off day for the Kansas City Chiefs, just in case you were thinking, well, I don't know, the Chiefs might be on. No, they're not. So there's no excuse. Go see this wonderful event. Go be a part of this. Richard Konzem is the executive director of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. And Richard, it is a pleasure to be able to share the details of this outstanding event and to have the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame in our backyard here in Topeka for the induction ceremony. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That was Dan Lucero with Richard Konzem, the executive director of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, with their Hall of Fame induction upcoming very soon here. And I believe that's next Sunday is what he said. So if you want to get tickets, go on to the website for them to get tickets here. We've got 2 more segments left in the show, just under 20 minutes left. We'll step aside for a break here. When we come back, I'll give my thoughts on the Royals-Yankees series. I was not on the air. I was performing my agriculture broadcasting duties during segment 1, so I didn't get to give my thoughts during segment 1 of today's show. So I'll give my thoughts on the series upcoming. We'll do a little Ask Me Anything. Drop your questions. We already have a bunch of questions in the YouTube live chat, but if you have any more, drop them in there. Also, you can text them on our Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429. Again, text your Ask Me Anything questions. We already got a couple good ones here to our Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429. We'll be back after this break. This is 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW. Welcome back. The youngest in charge moving here on 580 Sports Talk for your Friday. It's 5:44 on your Friday evening, your commute home, whether what you're doing, getting ready to go to high school games. We got you covered here for 580 Sports Talk before we get into Coaches Club after 6 p.m. And then we'll be live from Hummer Sports Park ahead of Topeka High hosting Washburn Rural at 6:30. Kickoff at 7. I'll be on the sidelines. Dan Lucero will be on play-by-play with Greg Akagi in there as the color analyst tonight. Tune in on the same station, 580 WIBW FM 104.9. We'll get into AMA here in a little bit. Ask Me Anything. Leave your question in the YouTube live chat, or you can send us a text on the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. But I was not around in the first segment. I was getting some other work done, so I did not get to be involved in the Royals-Yankees preview segment. Specific for today, obviously we talked a little bit about it yesterday after the Royals did not have to play a Game 3 in Baltimore. We knew they were going to be playing the Yankees. But today was media availability day at Yankee Stadium for their workout day ahead of the ALDS that begins tomorrow night, 5:30, 8 p.m. You can tune in right here at 5 p.m., or if you're wanting to watch it on TV, the divisional series is going to be on TBS. That's on TBS. That's where you can watch it. The Yankees went 5-2 against the Royals this season, but both teams, they're very different from where they were in mid-June. The Royals dropped 3 of the 4 at the K. The September series with the Yankees taking 2 of the 3, with that one with the bullpen drop off with MacArthur being the main guy that kind of dropped it off there. I got one thing I want to play here. It was from Mick Schaefer. He is the sports director at KSHB 41 in Kansas City. He asked Vinny Pasquantino about Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino made a big prediction for where Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be each time Vinny Pasquantino is up to the plate. They are ready for the challenge. Vinny Pasquantino looking to play his 3rd game back from thumb surgery. And he's obviously got, I think it's 2 hits and 4 times he's been on base, been walked twice, once in game 1 and once in game 2, along with those 2 hits. So should be interesting. But yeah, is Bobby Witt Jr., is he going to actually be walked this time? Because he wasn't in Baltimore, and that's really the 2 times. That's what hurt the Orioles, is not walking him. So if you walk Bobby Witt Jr., it's the respect factor, right? But does that mean that the Royals are going to walk Juan Soto or walk Aaron Judge? Who knows? It just depends how they want to play the matchups there. Cole Reagan's the game's 2 starter. He can either flip home field or dig the Yankees a 2-0 hole, depending on what game 1 happens. And it would likely be the game 5 starter. Again, Michael Wacha going tomorrow night, 5:30, 8 p.m. As I think it's going to be a good series, right? I have a buddy, big Yankees fan, and he texted me the other day, and he said, I can't wait for Saturday. This is going to be a good series. And I think so too. I mean, obviously it's Bobby Witt Jr. versus Aaron Judge, 2 of the biggest names in baseball in the MVP race going up against each other. And That's going to be fun. I think the pitching matchups are going to be fun as well. Obviously, this Royals bullpen's on a heater, and while they're on a heater, they're going to be human. There's going to be some back to life moments, back to reality moments. They're going to give up some runs. It's not possible for players that haven't pitched in the postseason to continually do that. So that's going to be tough for them. But I think the Royals, I think with Michael Wacha, he's got great playoff experience tomorrow, and that's going to help them a lot against Garrett Cole. I think it's going to be another one-run game. I think it's going to be a one-run game, and I think the Royals are going to get it done tomorrow night, and they're going to go to game 2, and Cole Reagans is going to have to throw a gem, and I think they can, and they get the off. As long as the offense keeps going, the bullpen keeps going the way it is, this should be a great series, and I'm looking forward to it. Let's get some AMA questions here as we've got to wrap things up very quickly here. Let's go through some of the questions that I've been getting. Went a little too far up in this YouTube chat. Here we go. Local pizza joint. It's Glory Days. Love their New York style pizza. Love their fresh Parmesan. That's my favorite so far. That was from Vance in the YouTube chat. From Jason, my call last night was good. It's been a while since I called high school football. The last high school football game I called, I think, was over a year ago. So getting used into the football. Football is different than basketball. Obviously, basketball is just up and down. Football is just plays. It's a tough game for Topeka West last night. They're obviously improving, but Baser Linwood's a legit team this year. That's from Jason. Mark, I had Chinese food in Topeka, and I'm not a big Chinese food guy. I'm a big American food guy. Give me some wings and pizza, some burgers, then you've got me right there. From Jeffrey, if cleaning poopy diapers was a sport, what would you call it? I don't know. I don't have anything. I have no clue. Let's go. Vance, what's left on your bucket list items to do or see in the area? It's obviously a Chiefs game, been to a Royals game. I guess it would be go to the Evel Knievel Museum that's leaving here in a month. I don't know if I'm going to make it, though. I don't know if I'm going to make it, so we'll see here what we got in the Top City Metal Supply text line. Have you ever went over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, and how much does it cost now? It was $8 in 1981. I do not know how much it cost because the last time I was over it, I was a passenger, probably 4 or 5 years ago, but I know it's gone up a lot. It's probably $15-20 now, I think. That's from the 785. Also from the 785, best barbecue in Kansas City so far that my girlfriend and I have tried. I do like Herman's barbecue. Now I'm forgetting names of these barbecue joints. I do also like Hog Wild. Those are the 2 Topeka ones that I've tried. Really like them. But I'm trying to remember where I went. It's been busy since I went to so I did indeed go to the barbecue place in Kansas City. Arthur Bryant's. I've only been there, but I love it. And for those of you asking, how did Greg hijack me into ag? Some company reorganization had to get some things going, and it made sense for me to learn something new. And for what it's worth, do you think I sound good? Like something like I'm setting in comfortably? Thank you. Was kind of nervous about how I was going to do with that, but I'm happy that I'm getting into a rhythm. Now I'm going to be hosting a little bit more in the morning. Greg's on vacation here at the end of next month, so I'll be hosting every morning. Probably won't be on Sports Talk then, the week of Thanksgiving, but that'll be to be determined by day. We have got to get out of here for our final break. When we come back, I'll have final word on 580 Sports Talk. Final word time here in the Youngest in Charge movement of 580 Sports Talk here as we begin to wrap things up. We'll have Coaches Club coming up next before pregame coverage of Topeka High and Washburn Rural coming up at 6:30 with kickoff at 7. Dan Lucero, Greg Akagi, and myself will be there for the call. I just want to take this time to wish it's a happy College Radio Day. Everyone in radio usually got their start in college. I got mine started at WMUL 88.1 FM, the cutting edge at Marshall University. So the best times of my life were in college radio, and just want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Bailey and the gang over there at WMUL for College Radio Day. We're wrapping things up here. We will have Royals baseball tomorrow night on the airways. It'll be a 5 p.m. pregame and 5:38 first pitch for playoff baseball, the ALDS. That's coming up. Have a great rest of your night, everyone. We'll talk to you next week.